Alright. 26. Finish line time. Whoop. Oh. Okay. Alright. Finish line. We gotta finish strong. 4 days to go. Alright. Hopefully today we get a better start. It felt kind of better than yesterday, which is a good sign. I felt a little bit better. I stopped. A noticeable thing is I stopped speeding up with the mood of the song now. Interestingly enough. Auspicious. It feels less that I'm cranking my hand anymore on warm up. No hand cranking there either. Hey Worm, what's up? How are you? How's New Year's Eve going for you? Don't know hand cranking, which is good. Warm up seems to be a lot better these days, especially the last couple of days.
Be mine.
No hand cranking still, so we're pretty loose a little bit. Had a little dinner with Grandpa, a bit tipsy. Oh, that sounds like delightful. Sounds very delightful. Me? Got any plans? No. Just my usual routine. I'm a very routine kind of guy. Since COVID happened, those types of social calls don't typically happen very often. It's still relatively rare. Most of the time, I'll probably do my rounds and wish people a happy new year online. New Year is, for me, at least for my immediate family, we're more like Chinese New Year's, Lunar New Year's kind of peeps. So there might be a social call for Lunar New Year. But the New Year, not too many social calls. I keep going and keep myself consistent when it comes to that. Yeah, and that's what I mean by social calls. I would drop most things for social calls, but this New Year's I do not have any social calls. I don't tend to host anything because I typically live a minimalist lifestyle, and I'm with my folks right now for like the last few years, just taking care of things here and there. So pragmatically, I do not have the capacity to host anyone. So I myself am not someone who would host social gatherings. And then social events are fairly limited these days. A lot of these holiday things tend to involve like family members, and I'm in the age where a lot of these gatherings also involve a lot older people, and you need to and as people that are very usually educated, you have to take precautions because COVID is still a thing. So instead of trying to create gatherings and whatnot, I typically go through the routine unless a very specific social call comes up. It's nice though. It's nice that other people are doing their thing. I had too many thoughts going on in my head just now. Yeah. It's nice to see people gathering together My close friends are actually less than an hour away. They're visiting their folks right now for the last week or two. So technically, I guess I could have met up with them in some capacity. But we already talked about this briefly, about how my friends and I interact when it comes to being close and whatnot. You tried changing my tapping style? As in swapping fingers you start patterns or changing from middle to ring finger, and how did it go if you tried? I used to use my ring finger. I started with my pointer and middle finger like the first 9 months. Then I started using my ring finger and pointer finger because the rocking motion was a little bit better for these things. But then I went back to my pointer and middle finger. Here in this 30 days, no, I didn't change anything. I changed the way I tap, but they're still with the same fingers. And then the starting pattern, I used to just alternate. With these types of things, I used to alternate, even if it was an odd thing. But now I swap to starting on the same finger, which is the middle finger this time. For triples, every odd pattern burst, I start with my middle finger. Every even or single tap, I use both fingers still. So I used to be that guy who single taps, but I indiscriminately single tap both my fingers. So what happens is by the end of a song, they would be pretty even though I'm single tapping in different places in the song. I play more like a drummer than a gamer, if you know what I mean. So sometimes it feels good to do a triple starting on your right hand, whatever flows better. Now though, now I don't go back. Now my triples are always on my middle finger first. I can no longer do it the other way. At least for the time being. Yeah, this is about where the warm-up breaks down. We have a little bit less dexterity during warm-up than yesterday. That's not a, it's about where we would stop for warm-up. Yeah, we've gone through a lot of refinements. My fingers are not, my hand span is very below average. I have a very below average hand span. So back in the day, I used to tap with my ring finger and my pointer finger with Z and X, like right next to each other. Not like what, not with one button in between. They used to be together. So I used to rock 2 fingers next to each other because the keys are not in a manner that is spaced. I have relatively small, like below average hand span, and my fingers are not very thick. The width is very small. So I used to tap the Z and X with my ring finger and my pointer finger. For most, it would be too scrunched to hit the keys. And then I stopped. I went through a lot of different experiments, I guess. So far, this is probably the most I've trained in any particular way. And while I'm not playing Osu, I work on finger dexterity for other things, like grip and whatnot. So I do have to take into account that when I'm playing Osu, I'm not playing Osu in the way that most people play Osu, where they come in and play fresh. I actually come in playing with other things. Yeah. Use Z and shift? Oh, wait. Oh, that's interesting. I haven't considered that. It is a bigger button too. And all you have to do is remove sticky keys. That's an interesting point. I haven't considered using a bigger button on the left side. And then you could do the other side. Yeah, like Q tab, and then you can do it the other way too, on the other side of the game, where you could use like forward slash and the other shift button. I haven't ever considered that. That's a good point. That's a very good point. Yeah, so I have a problem a lot of times, and I'm trying to get just right. I have a keypad with only 2 buttons now. It's been 3 years. Someone wanted me to try this keypad, so I only have a keypad with 2 buttons. The problem is my hands, the space between my 2 fingers are really close. So what happens a lot of times is when I get fatigue or my form breaks down, my pointer finger can rub against the side of the buttons, of the caps of the middle finger, and the other way around too. Because my spacing is at an angle. It's not like as parallel as other people, because their joints, this spacing right here is bigger for many people, and mine is not that big. So it's kind of like it's at an angle. So whenever my form breaks down, I tighten up and my fingers will come together. And when they come together, they like rub against the side of the keycaps. At least the keypad that I have, the caps are completely flat and they're as close as possible together. So it alleviates some of it, but when it's really far apart, I can miss when the form breaks down. So that's what I'm paying attention to. When I'm like feeling it out, I'm paying attention to when my form breaks down. It's more of a biological restriction than a mental one. Kind of gotta get used to it. I've lived with the idea. I played a lot of sports that involve hand span or the size of your fingers, like bowling, and it's become very clear to me that I have below average hand span and hand girth. So I've knew this for a really long time already before starting to play Osu, because I bowled back in my high school days. Yeah, I don't have fat fingers. I don't have sausage fingers, which you might be thinking, oh yeah, sometimes that can be a disadvantage, but yeah. in these cases, it's relatively a lot better to have average, closer to average girth in your hands, because you can't alter dramatically the keyboard layout and the spacing. It's usually like one size fits all kind of thing, because like PCBs are, you know, the PCB in your keyboards are spaced in a specific way to standardize it so that people don't have to make custom keycaps and sizing every single time. So for me, biologically, I have to adapt to that physically. Like keypads though, that would be if you ever fit, if someone ever has a characteristic like I do when it comes to hands, that's where paying extra money for less switches and keys come into play, because the keypad can be custom designed with a lower threshold of cost instead of buying a full keyboard of keys that you're adapting to instead. So a lot of times, if you have average hands, like if you meet within a statistical range of the average physical hand that the PCB is built to, it's higher value to just buy a keyboard and go through all the keys, you know, like just destroy all the keys to play Osu. But if you're out of the range of the average size hand, maybe bigger or smaller, that's where you have to pay a little bit of premium if you don't want to make the keypad yourself, like 3D print it, create a custom PCB and then put it into it. So for me, whenever I picked up a sports that involve specific hand sizes and specific grips, and the balls are always standardized to a specific size, I've gone through the hoops all the time. Every sport that I've picked up, I had to physically adapt to my smaller hand size. Very small hands. In fact, my hands are the small size of my little sister. She is. Yeah, I have slim hand size, like really slim too. In bowling, the first time I realized this was when I was 16, maybe. We had to fit, you know, the thumb and finger plugs in a bowling ball, and when we got it drilled and whatnot, they had to postpone finishing the inserts because they don't carry 0 size inserts. They only carry from 1. It's normalized, but 1 would be like the lower end of the average, and then it goes up to 10. So, but they had to custom order a 0 size because I'm below the smallest size. So we had to wait a week to get custom inserts so that they would fit my hands. They would fit my fingers. They're not very girthy. There's no surface area, which is weird, but you know, it's less weird now since I spent most of my time, like, I disc golf. Generally speaking, a lot of times, yeah, there's physical limitations of the disc, like how thick the disc is, the rim, the profile of the disc. They affect the flight of the disc. However, because of my smaller hand size and less girthier surface area, I tend to prefer lower profile discs. However, low profile discs fly in a specific way that you can't bend the laws of physics. What you do is you compensate by throwing it not the similar way that a lot of other people do it, because you have to compensate that your disc is not going to fly like those people who can throw more domed profile disc for very specific, like, shorthand. There's low profile discs just fly well in the air, but it's also quite touchy. They're a lot touchier in air. So naturally, when I'm learning how to play disc golf, I tend to be less and less consistent, because you can't start with, it's very difficult for me to adjust to bigger objects or thicker objects. And all these things are like the fun part. I actually think it might sound like you someone who has this below average problem would be frustrated, right? Most of the when you try to go and learn something and someone offers advice, you have to take into consideration each time that are you statistically, physically below average or above average, because you have to count, you have to adapt to these things. And I actually think it made my life far more interesting. I see it as a challenge, right? I'm always physically having to tweak things, and for me, my mindset made it interesting for that. Why I have to understand what the statistical average do, and understand how the properties that I have that are outside the statistical average, how do I approach working on that? Like for Osu, the average age of Osu players are in their teens. The likelihood of the teens who are playing Osu are not musicians. That creates a fundamental difference between when I started playing Osu and when teens play Osu. So when you think about all the practices, all the routes of improvement, you also have to take into account the holistic interference that comes from someone who is 30 plus starting Osu versus someone who is a teenager going to Osu. And you can tease those things apart, and what you do is the more you know, the more you can move around it. So my improvements and whatnot didn't come from necessarily taking advice from people who are fundamentally, statistically, in every way different from me. I take what they know and add what I know about myself, because I spend most of the time adjusting to my own experiences. I actively participate and study my aptitude in anything I do, generally speaking. You don't have to do that to be successful. It's just something that I find super interesting. What I fail at is the most interesting thing, in my opinion. If you get really good at something, yes, I absolutely love the idea that people who like to master things quite a lot, because it's something that they're really dedicated to. For me, the most interesting thing about my life is finding out everything that I am restricted against, and then finding solutions to those restrictions. So I bring up all my lower ends as opposed to focus on bring up, and we already talked about this the other day, about different mindsets. What keeps me going is to figure out the next thing I'm pretty bad at. So what's after this? I'll probably take a rest, like 2 or 3 days rest once I finish this 30-day thing. And my next month challenge is probably going to be something I'm not terrific at. We'll probably see if I can get inspired to do something that I'm just really bad at, because that's what I do. I absolutely enjoy picking up the weak spots. I think we fundamentally differ from this. Sun and I are friends in a way that we contrast in the same way. Sun loves approaching things in the other direction. So we exchange stories and stuff. So we bounce off each other because our perspective differs so much. It keeps us on our toes. Like one day maybe I'll find whatever he has and I will invest in that. And then he might find something that's interesting on how I approach, so he can offset how dissatisfied he is when he's outside his element. I enjoy being out of my element, and he enjoys being in his element. So hopefully that creates a mutual exchange of ideas. And then we have Coffers, who he passively interacts with things through their lives. So he's not an active participant, which is in contrast to me and Sun. We are active participants in things we do, to the point where it does hinder our emotional consistency. Coffers is emotionally consistent because he passively participates through most of the things. When you become more and more actively participating, it is very reasonable to get very emotionally defensive or emotionally reinforced or emotionally stretched because you become more invested in what you're doing. So I have a lot to say about pretty much anything I do because I'm consistently emotionally invested, I guess. I'm actively participating in most of the things I do. And when people ask a question, they will get a 3,000 word essay. Son, you'll get like a 40,000 word essay on very specific topics if you happen to ask him about the topics he is specifically invested in. However, every other situation he would prefer to listen and observe because being out of his element would tackle his insecurities about truly understanding about the topic. And I would just be rambling on average, maybe 5,000 word essays here and there on most things. Yep. I hope I didn't wait too long. What I did discover in this is I know how to start and space triples now, so space out the triples between the taps. That was the biggest revelation from this. Early warm-ups still suck. They get progressively more strenuous as I go for warm-up. One of the things is if it never looks like I'm good at anything, that's the point. If people ever tell me like, am I good at anything? I would probably say no. I would say if you ever ask me what the quality of my lifestyle is, I am the standard. So if you ever consider yourself someone who is very skilled and specialized in something, you have to at least beat me. Like someone like me. Because I represent the standard. I reach for standards. I don't reach for mastery. So If I have a job, right, if an employer wants to hire me, I can complete many jobs because there's a standard to be maintained, and I will be able to fulfill most of the standards. So I'm a very employable, sufficient person. A specialist, as someone who has mastered something, they get, if the world lines up and the employer is looking for their specific skill set, then yeah, they've hit the jackpot. But the chances of the employer looking for your specific skill set would require that there's a demand for it, basically. So someone like me, statistically, would more likely be pragmatically successful than someone who banks everything on a mastery of a skill that they hope will be in demand at any given point. And the downside of that is also, if the demand subsides, you are also out of a skill set. And once you're out of a skill set, it takes a really long time to retrain into another skill set. You can be a brilliant scientist like myself. Like, I think I did well. I got into the top university and whatnot, but there really isn't a great demand for scientific research, especially basic science, not application, not pro-profit science. It's very low. So even if you've specialized in a skill, it requires a demand. And without a broad skill set, you are less attractive as a person, like as a person that can provide a service. So naturally, I didn't continue pursuing basic research because the demands are low. And you can excel and be that, and you can try to create your own, like carve into your own, saying like, well, people are saying they don't need basic research. I'll prove them different. That's great. And that comes with a specialist mindset. Like, I will prove to you that I am valuable. So you're going to try to prove it yourself, which is a really high uphill battle. And sure enough, Elon Musk exists. He is able, for me, instead of spending that time proving wrong to most people, or like proving that I am self-worth, I spend that same amount of time disproportionately gaining more skills. So overall, as a individual, a person who has holistic things, I'm like 7 across the board. You could be a 10 or even a 15 out of 10 in 1 or 2 skills, but that time it takes to do those things, you're like 3 across the board outside those. So yes, the world could line up and you could be the biggest big deal in the world because the world demands that skill set you have. Again, I also gave an example. You could end up by coincidence specializing in the one skill set or 2 skill sets that everyone demands for everything, like communication. Regrettably, the skill sets, and this is where the friction comes in, the skill sets that involve most things, like communication, which you can specialize in, that inherently involves knowing about the other stuff, right? So as a specialist, you are less likely to choose a skill that's relevant to most of the other things, because then it would no longer feel like a specialty. Communication involves not just the act of exchanging and talking about the things you want to be a great communicator. You become a non-specialist. It's intrinsically going to take away from it. What's another one? It would be critical thinking. Critical thinking is non-discriminate. You can't practice critical thinking without involving yourself with many topics. So inherently, if you somehow specialize in those 2 skills and you make them work, you can be a specialist that feel like you belong to everything. You're like, and there are a few extraordinary people in this world, but it's very hard to even classify them as specialists anymore. They are a specialist of general topics, of a generalized skill. So if you're curious why Elon Musk and them are very important, is because they're one of the few, like 1 out of a billion, that manage to specialize in a skill and feel all right that it actually is relevant to most things in demand right now. The people who are exceptional in communication and critical thinking are those who do not specialize in a specific field, because they don't limit what that communication and critical thinking applies to. So my critical thinking doesn't end at OSU. It does not end at movies. It does not end at games. It encompasses as many things I can think of in life, and it will continue to prop up my communication and critical thinking skills the more I tackle challenges. So everything I tackle will augment that skill. So I purposely seek things I am terrible at, because that will allow me to enhance my communication and my critical thinking and apply them to how to tackle difficult questions. So I am certainly not going to be a popular person to an expert or someone who's really, really good at things. But for every person who's really, really good at one thing or a few things, there are 95+% of people who are not so great at it, or worse than the best. And I can talk to them and help them solve their problems. So as a person of this specific skill set, I can be hired into solving problems anywhere. So if I had a resume problem, I would solve the resume problem and communicate appropriately to get hired. If that a skill appeals to you, then you, in my opinion, the most pragmatic way to approach things is to understand that being super good at something makes you worse at being adaptive. It will make you the most exceptional asset if someone is looking for your thing, though. So if they're looking for your skill and that's the thing that everyone wants, then you're golden. You're the golden goose, or you're the more like the treasure that's found. I was going to use golden goose, but golden goose is more like the thing that keeps on giving, which is what is closer to a generalist, someone who constantly has something more to offer. Not the best products, just more, quantity over quality kind of thing. And a lot of times a specialist like, I don't get it. You have to do the best you can, right? You have to, when you're focused, you should always be offering the best service as opposed to a mediocre service. It's like, well, yes, in that argument, you would win for sure. If you offer a better service, you just simply go for the better service. But we're talking about hiring someone who offers 30 services versus one really good service. If I am taking a bet, for me personally, I would hire the person that can offer 30 services versus one service very well. Yes, when that one service comes up, it's a boss to have that one dude. But every other time, 29 out of 30 times, that other person is going to be able to handle the problem. That's a biased perspective because it's the lifestyle that I have embraced. When you land the dream job, you think about this. Specialists think about dream jobs, the job that matches their skill set. As a generalist, every job is just something that you can do. Like, I don't have dreams. Like, I don't have the idea of a dream job because I can't see myself not being able to do any of it. I do all of it. I mean, I I won't do them really well, but there isn't a job that I would say, nah, I can't do anything inside. Well, I spend my entire life trying to compensate for that. How was New Year's? I just got up, like, it's been 3 hours so far. The first 2 hours, I got up, did my morning run, washed up, ate a few jalapeno peppers. Sorry, jalapeno poppers. My parents thought it would be kind of fun to eat them. So we had some, and then now I'm on here. We're almost there, Foxy. We're almost there. We're on the last 4 days. And things are feeling good. Like, I am feeling really good. We're consolidating all the things we've learned so far. How has your New Year's gone? New Year's Eve, rather. And are you doing anything? Do you do anything for New Year's? Do you stay up till midnight? What do you do on New Year's Eve? Just gaming. Fair enough, fair enough. You work till 8. Oh, I see, I see. Whoops. That was a dexterity fail. It was really good. Just we're a little bit low on the fatigues. We're a little bit low on the dexterity at the moment. Today's a little groggy. Oh, I know I know something. I have a thought. 1 second. So I haven't decided how am I gonna do those things. Whoops. I tripped. Oh, what happened was I typically do like 2 or 3 runs of this the last 3 days before I started moving up. But since we're already up here, we might as well keep going. I'll show you about the routine you use for OSU. I know a couple similar training drills I can link if you're interested. I'm not interested, but this is more like doing the 30 days that I already planned, irregardless of progress or not. This is just you have to do the 30 days. Otherwise it invalidates the approach, right? But it would be interesting. I mean, the thing you link, I'm probably in some way aware of. But for me, without sounding too much of a disbeliever, in general, most training drills designed by anyone who isn't someone who's 30 plus or worked in a professional critical thinking job, I would be hesitant to adopt any of those training methods. It's not to say that I don't know of them. I use them as inspirations and platforms to design something that's catered to myself. So this thing I'm doing now that I'm recording and observing is not for instructional purposes. So if anyone sees this, I hope they treat what I'm doing the same way I treat the way most people are doing training drills. It's to use a platform and a structure by example and hope that they develop something for themselves, something that is personalized to themselves. I don't think there are anything in OSU that was designed by someone who had any rigorous testing of a rigorous approach. This is not a rigorous approach either, what I'm doing. It's just repeating a structure that I planned all 30 days out already, and then I refine that from future. So I look at other people's drills the same way that I expect other people to look at my drills, which is you see what you want, cherry pick what you may find useful, and then create your own structured thing. Anytime when I try to look at other people's drills, I would not adopt their drills. I would use their drills as inspirations. That's probably the best way to discuss it. So the answer a lot of times would be, no, I probably wouldn't use anyone's drills. I would look at them though. Like if someone wants me to look at a drill, yeah, I would do. But I wouldn't ever do them. It's kind of like dieting, you know, like nutrition. Adapting them is the best goal. Yeah, dieting is a great example. Dieting is a really good example. People who hop on the keto diet for structured, to impart structure, live and die by their improvements. But it's the structure, the inherent nature of structure that allow them to improve, not necessarily the contents of the material. It's less about the content of the material, more about the structure. But I have seen a lot of drills. The drill that you're thinking of, the most proliferative one that consistently people associate, typically deals with anything that came from digital hypno. So digital hypno has this way of making it sound very attractive and systematic, and I would say it's far more systematic than most people, especially those who are not of that mindset. But that's a good starting place. Anything that splintered away from hypno's approach, pretty sure ones I have are not. I'm not saying it's from digital hypno. There's a very I specifically said it is inspired by Hypno. He is the most common reference for a drill. So again, just to emphasize, drills come from a source. They are inspired from it. They're not similar either. Alright, fair enough. If you say they are not, they are not. I'd be interested to look at them, I guess. I wouldn't say that I would know until I actually see them. It has very little to say what I just said. Like, just because they're not doesn't mean they may not possibly be related. But you talk very certainly, so I will give you the benefit of the doubt. I'm giving an example, but yeah. What's up, Coppers? You're in the car? Oh yeah, you're going to your going to the place. Connection is kind of... Oh yeah, no way. Wait, I guess you have headphones. Yeah. Fair enough, Carpus. Fair enough. I actually haven't played them much myself. It just seemed like what you use. Oh, you mean like a... Oh, you mean just a map set. Oh. Yeah, I have used this before. I cannot use this right now because my baseline is 180 BPM. I thought you meant a drill, like a routine. Digital Hypno has the most popularized structured routine. So like, but yeah, I have used this. I can't because my baseline is 180. It's too soon. Maybe in the future. Where yeah, too soon. It is outside my it's outside my range yet. Let's see. Is this the one where... Hold up. Oh man, it does... Alright. I was hoping it had a preview. I'm not sure if I know this one. But, yeah. I've, curated through the stuff. So I would have to familiarize. It's not long enough. The thing, that one is not long enough. If I'm just looking at the profiles. But yeah, that would be something. So here's the thing. I picked this one specifically only because it overlaps with the other ones. So if you know what I mean, like you will probably find a lot of similar ones. I just happened to pick the one that came first. So instead of overlapping and continuously putting in more redundancies, I just picked whatever is sufficient enough. But I'm not familiar with that one. It might have better songs. Like, I think one thing that I could differentiate, that I would pick one set over another set, is just the songs. They're like more interesting to listen to, right? Because the drill has a component that, sure, you can pick a lot of BPMs, but we need some, like, I don't really like a lot of... I can think of better examples that would keep me engaged. Okay. So that would probably make me favor these a little bit more. Because, you know, it's kind of... I know the metronome thing, it's great and all, but, I still gotta listen to something. I was reading through that they were saying the same thing. Wait, what? Yeah, I think I'll just have to continue playing the game like you said and see if it's... Yeah, it's a cache thing, Coffers. It just works differently. You can always hope for a driver update. You can always hope for a driver update in the future that provides those cache, like, that sorts that out. Now I understand what you mean by drills, Worm. I misunderstood you. My bad. Drills are, I was thinking bigger, like big. That's a fatigue problem. Holy heck, that was a little really stiff. I read D-stability mode that rendering for D2 was a fix, but the set. It's guessing. It's guessing. But one thing you've encountered, Coffers, is the story of driver support. And it's a great time to appreciate why people still spend the premium to buy Nvidia cards. You're encountering some of it. However, it's still, the value proposition is still overall far more lucrative, far more higher value to buy a 6650 XT at the moment than, say, finding an old 2070, which is its counterpart, or it's maybe a comparable 3060. It's still, the value proposition is still higher for the 6650 XT. However, this idea that would you prefer to pay 15% to 20% more for a pipeline from a company that is more consistent with like driver support and filling out these things, that's the premium, right? So these things are expected, but I don't think the current way AMD handles these things are too far behind that warrant spending 15% and 20% more to favor Nvidia at the moment. It could change for sure. So that stuff about people trying to figure out what is the solution, it comes with that's the stuff that will eventually lead to proper driver development and moving forward on things. That is what I read though about the a potential explanation to why the newest iterations of AMD GPUs are having spotty performances in specific titles. What they're looking at is what do the titles have in common, and then they're looking if changing that or adjusting that is allowing it to stabilize. But it is a known common problem with retrofitting newer AMD cards to older titles, and that comes with a company investment, and Nvidia tends to be, although not the greatest, it's still they're far more consistent at the moment. And that's also why it is nice to have more competition, but Intel didn't do a great job. Oops. I kind of splashed off. Okay. So Intel Arc kind of failed quite a bit, and hopefully Intel Arc continues, but all these challenges tend to be why we need more challenges, right? As a consumer, the consumer wins when you kind of want these problems to show up, right? It is nice that you don't have problems, but these problems are typically software related. So it's nice to know that these problems exist. It kind of benefits after solving them. It's been said by even after reverting to older driver, Windows will auto. Yeah. So you're an early adopter, by the way. While 6650 XT is built on an older architecture, like it's a mature architecture, the drivers itself technically aren't exceptionally new. So the time frame you're buying the 6650 XT, it is the latest outside the 7900s that were just released. So expecting driver issues is going to be a norm. The last time you bought a GPU, it was like an Nvidia platform that was extremely matured. It was like 3 generations matured. So the odds of encountering driver issues there is very unlikely. Because the 1660S, right, is built on the 1660 Ti, and before that it was the 1070. Like all those fed into that particular card. So it was a super mature platform. But I don't know about the 6650. It's still relatively younger than the ones that you had before. It's part of the growing pains of technology, to be honest. So keep an eye out peeled for driver. It is a known problem for all 6000 to 7000 AMD cards. So there's a pressure to fixing, and it's a common problem between all of them. So AMD is pressured to release a driver, so you want to keep your eyes peeled for a driver update. But nevertheless, I don't think it's a problem for the majority of titles, as far as I saw on the technical benchmarks by other people, like reputable sources. Grubs. Man, not in the wildest dreams that I would feel so comfortable at this, so this is one of the most rewarding ones. Whoops. Man. It's so comfortable now. Man. I still remember less than 3 weeks ago, I could barely even finish it. And the triple spacing is getting tighter. Progressively getting tighter and tighter. Now this isn't even a stamina challenge anymore. This is my comfort zone. It's like a bell curve. I lack finger dexterity as it's climbing down, going here. But then when we're climbing up, I have the finger dexterity, but I'm lacking the stamina. So this is like the golden ratio at the moment where I'm sitting. This I could do maybe 8 hours straight and still have 99.9 99% or plus effortlessly. Thankfully, I had a good experience with Tarkov and some other games so far. There's this weird thing though that hasn't happened before. The new GPO where the screen would have some screen flickering. Interesting. I have to go to the bathroom quickly, so I'll be right back. I need to rest. Oh, I was thinking about it. Screen flicker. You'll probably have to show me that. But, I don't want to blame the monitor, but screen flicker sounds like more of a monitor GPU thing, less than a rendering thing. We'll talk about it another day, I suppose. We can investigate. That UR is getting tighter. Man. How long ago was this? 2 weeks ago? Yeah, it's about 2 weeks. Oh no, 3 weeks ago. Wait, did I do this twice? I don't even remember. Oh, we can figure it out, right? I only did it once. I think we're pretty good. Let's see. And this was yesterday. Ooh. We connected yesterday. Man, I barely have any reps. Only like 20 reps, completed reps of this. But we're getting our 99 soon too. The rewards, fruits of our labor. Oops. Ooh, fancy. Oh. Oh, when I had to stop and then go again, that was a little bit rough. But holy heck. That felt very, very not too taxing. Yeah, I figured Coffer's drive has finished. Yeah, we need to figure out what Coffer's deal is with this new GPU. We'll see. Yeah, we can totally crush this out at 99. We're like consolidating now. In the last couple of days, we're consolidating everything we learned. And then we're taking the best things that we've learned and compromising. So we've exceeded 98% on the first 4 now. And then yesterday, we finally got up to some of this stuff again. It's still a struggle. We're gonna skip Blue Nation. We're gonna do Blue Nation on the way down. Yeah, maybe not. The combination of these things kind of make it really weird for me, but let's find out. This is where I have the least amount of reps, so anything beyond this is extra at this point. By the time we get to 30 days, at the end of 30 days, any progress on these would be extra. And when my hit sounds fade away, it's a problem. And then start and stop. Ooh, these pauses are too long. Oh my gosh. I totally like skipped a beat there. That was close enough. 96? We're getting close to 96. I was like, it was very difficult for me to keep my hands moving because my whole body was running out of, like, it was getting really stiff, so then it was getting really shaky. I think we passed the 5-minute mark though, so that's okay. It's still really tough getting past the 4-minute mark. This is the only thing that we've passed the 4-minute mark, so the consistency is going up. It wasn't too bad. I count that as a win. For sure. And this was yesterday. It got really shaky after 4 minutes, as per usual. And then we have the dexterity problem. The dexterity falls apart around 3 minutes. I did not reach a point of fatigue, thankfully, so that's good. We got more stamina these days. I could try again. Do I really want to? I really should nip this in a bud, for sure. Just hone in on the timing. I don't want to expend too much stamina. See, originally I was planning on playing these too, but it inflates the play time by too much, the training time by too much. So don't get too carried away with variety. The more variety, the time required goes up exponentially, and I don't have that much utility in my hands to keep pushing that. The goal is not to extend the session. Oh, we're past 1 minute and 40 seconds. I mean 1 minute. 1 hour and 40 minutes. I'm feeling still pretty decent. We've already done more. At least 20% more than we've ever done. And I don't feel fatigued yet, so that's pretty cool. Oh boy. Oh boy. My middle finger just did something that I haven't done in a long time. Which it went out of sync. And I couldn't find it anymore. That's a little scary. Whoop. There it goes again. Oh, that was a little bit better, actually. Huh. I was a lot more relaxed there. Neat. I do like this song quite a lot, so that's a bonus. Oh, ow. I started, my middle finger started giving out. I could feel the weight. The middle finger started getting slower and slower over and over. And then there was those pauses. That could have been a little bit better. I definitely felt my middle finger giving out. It was around the 3-minute portion. Oh, it's been a while since my hand got so shaky. Maybe I wasn't pushing hard enough before. I'll take over 2%. That's a win in my book. It was kind of rough starting the second time. I couldn't get the timing properly in the beginning when I was a little bit rested. 26 days, only 7 completions. There were so many near fails. So many. Or so many near passes, I guess, with maybe 94. 94%. Optimistically, there is a chance I could get a 98% in the next 3 days. Or higher. I don't think I have enough stamina left. We're getting on 2 hours. That's... The cheat here is... Here's the big cheat though. This thing right here, man, it's only 50 seconds. And then 50-second break, and then another... Well, it's like 60 seconds. And then like a 50-second break, and another 60 seconds. That I can do. Just going non-stop for 5 minutes? No. So much more. Alright. I had to try twice yesterday. The first time I failed at 75%, which is where I would realistically fail. My form would break apart, and then I could no longer pick up my thumb, my middle finger anymore. Okay. Here we go. Oh man, I'm so capped on dexterity right now. I'm pretty tired. Kind of got it for a moment there. It felt like I was getting loose enough. That's what happens. You double tap. Because one finger is delayed. Oh, man. No, 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 no. I can't. My middle finger is like toasted. Alright. We're gonna have to wind down now. I think we're just gonna cool down. Not doing triples. And to 185. I hope we can start here then. 20 DPM drop on the cooldown is usually a pretty decent place to start. Alright, we're cooling down. No more stamina left. Holy stamina. This is not good. No more stamina. Alright. We just keep going. No rest, just cooldown. Find where our dexterity bottom is. Rip. Alright. This is where we think we are. When everything's spent, this is close to the edge of dexterity. Stamina's gone. We're close. Man. That's pure willpower. There at the end. Alright. Yeah, it's about where we think we are. No resting, just cooling down. This is our dexterity, this is our lax dexterity. We don't need stamina for this. $155, we don't need any stamina. At least I don't think we do. Whoops, I slowed down. Yeah, no stam. Happy New Year's Eve, Josh. I hope you're doing well. I hope you have some festivities to look forward to. What do you do on New Year's Eve, Josh? Yeah, no. Cooldown any 150 and below requires next to 0 stamina. Whoops. I accidentally lost my train of thought. Nothing? Oh, that's... I mean, you know what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. Man, it's so comfortable now. Dex and Stam? I'll tell you in a bit. Easy clap. It's so much easier when I am really, really tired. Okay, my training focuses on dexterity and stamina, and how I parse dexterity and stamina is, stamina is when you lose the ability to, when you feel stiffness, you know, that stiffness where your arms lock up, your forearms get cramped. That's when you'll reach where you have a stamina failure. Dexterity often involves the cadence between your fingers. So when your fingers lose form, like imagine how your triples are, right? Left, right, left, or right, left, right. When that falls apart, but you're not feeling any tension or stamina gated, your dexterity is failing, your finger dexterity. A property of dexterity in fingers that most players are referring to is speed. Speed is a property of dexterity. So no matter how much, no matter how much stamina you have, you could not be tired, but without dexterity, enough dexterity, you are unable to hit 210. Now, it's a mix between, they're both connected, but there's a balance, which if dexterity fails first or stamina fails first. And when I'm cooling down, dexterity is rarely ever failing. But as I'm getting even slower and slower, stamina is also not failing. So these are, when I'm cooling down, I'm not improving. I'm not, the only effectiveness about cooldown is to continue to work on mind-body connection. So I'm reminding myself what is the correct dexterity and cadence without blockage of stamina. So as we go down, when we were here, there was a stamina issue because I've practiced the entire day already, like I practiced the last couple, and I have a stamina cap right now. So when stamina comes into play, I can no longer focus on if my dexterity is correct. But the moment I get to a part where stamina and dexterity is no longer a problem, that's where the cooldown process begins. The cooldown is just supposed to remind me of what it feels like when I have no stamina problems or dexterity problems. So in the process that I'm working now, I have, it's like a bell curve, right? It's a bell curve. So at 160, I have a dexterity problem. And 170, I have a dexterity problem. But when I get up here, I no longer have a dexterity problem. My timing and my past experiences is comfortable at this mix. However, and at this mix, my stamina is not being taxed yet. There's no stamina issue along these three. So I could bootstrap these as much as I can to focus on dexterity. When I start getting up here, I no longer have a dexterity issue. I have a stamina issue. So the stamina issue comes before dexterity. However, at a specific time after after it eclipses like maybe 4 minutes, my dexterity falls apart too. So the last minute or two is like traumatic. So those are the I equate dexterity to the mobility of your fingers and stamina to the ability to keep on doing it. And that's pretty much it. And they're very distinguishable because I wouldn't separate them in that way if they weren't distinguishable. There are clear, like there's nothing about this that will tax my stamina. But it will, my form will break down because 160 is uncomfortable. But these are used to remind me what is the accurate timing of my dexterity and when stamina is not an issue. So it's super comfortable now because I cool down with these things just to remind myself. Oops. Oh boy. Hello everyone. We're just cooling down now. I was Did you end up getting to play Resident Evil after Tower of Fantasy today? I did. Just said some random stuff and chilled. That sounds like you're figuring out the chill life, son. That's great. We're consolidating. We have today we have officially eclipsed 98% on this. And then we're getting up there, 95. I couldn't complete it today. But yeah, we're on our way to consolidate all the things we've learned so far. We have 3 days left after today. 30 days straight. But now I'm relaxing, doing some cooldown, reminding myself how to keep cadence. We're getting up there too. All the cooldown stuff is getting close to 98 plus. Got that sweet left-right feeling going. Whoops. That was the end of my cooldown. 140 is the end of the cooldown. What do we talk about today? I was gonna play Bear and Breakfast. We're taking early leave. That's okay. Oh, that was okay. I'm just reminding myself what it feels like going up, too, at this point. Going up is a lot less comfortable than going down. Oops. Yep, I'm tired. So, yeah. I'm excited though. I'm excited to start playing normal stuff. Are you excited to return to Osu? Are you doing it tomorrow? This is gonna be a New Year's change, son. Is it? Is tomorrow the day? I can't wait to play ranked maps. Man, this one just feels so good. Alright, we're gonna play a little bit of Bear and Breakfast because I'm a casual and I need my fixings on Bear and Breakfast. It feels so good. It feels so good. I'm not even tired. There's no tension, no wrist tension, no knuckle tension. I did 30% more than I usually do. Watch your back, son. I'm slowly crawling. No, I'm just kidding. It's not gonna happen. Alright. That concludes day 26. Got 3 more days to go.